Hello, and welcome back to the State of Social podcast. It is episode 21 with your favorite social media managers. Look, we're not going to start the podcast without addressing the elephant in the room, the TikTok ban, but we're only going to say one thing about it, which is we already said something about it. So I spoke to Business of Home, which is a media outlet specifically for interior designers. I spoke to them a little about our thoughts on the TikTok ban, and it applies to everyone, not just designers. So if you're wondering our thoughts, I recommend you give the article a read. It's wonderful, and we are quoted throughout, which is very kind of the outlet to do. But long story short, we know what's going on. We're aware of the motion on Capitol Hill. The TLDR on our thoughts is essentially there's no reason to jump ship and preemptively ban your own presence on TikTok by freaking out in advance of something like this. There's also a lot that will happen between now and any sort of trickle down impact to users or creators. It's my understanding that as the soonest that we would actually see, like in the unlikely event a ban goes through, it will not have an impact on us until as at least early next year, if not further into the calendar year. So long story short, there's a million people talking about this, so we will not belabor the point. But our take is, business as usual, but a good reminder that TikTok, like any social platform, there changes constantly, and that change is derivative of all different locations, right? User behavior, legislation, federal
Yep.
law, etc. So this is it's an opportunity to be reminded of a truth that we know across the board on social, which is that it is always going to change. And as users who create content there, we are at the whim of platforms. So it's a nice opportunity to remember that social is an amazing tool for connection, but it is ultimately one piece of a good marketing strategy, or, what your digital strategy should not be only social. And we love social. We work in it every day, but we also know when you post content to social media, you don't own that space, right? Like you're renting space on those platforms. So it's a good reminder, if you are not cultivating other spaces for your audience, like an email list, a website where you also update your project status and have a portfolio, things like that. It's a good reminder to cultivate those spaces, because social can change and come and go and do all kinds of different things for a million different reasons. This is just one particularly headline inducing example of what that might look like. So hopefully, we're not being flippant about this. Obviously, it's a precedent setting situation, but if you wanted to know our take, it is keep on posting until you hear otherwise. And if you haven't already, figure out a way to cultivate your audience in other spaces, create a close community, have an email list, have a blog, have a website, etc. And try not to stress, because this is not the first or last time we'll hear about a social platform getting, put on notice, as it were. So
Trust
that's
your
all.
leaders. This is the state of social for a reason. We know what's going on. Trust us. That's the
Don't
word.
be stressed. Read the article. Everything's fine. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way,
Moving on to fun stuff.
yeah.
I was thinking the other day about two topics that I have had separate discussions about on different occasions with people recently that I think everybody should be thinking about. Okay. One is not specifically social media related, but it is of the digital era that we are living in. And I think it's really important to talk about. And that is, in the world of AI, this is scamming. Phone call scams have always been a problem, right? Like calling grandma, pretending to be your grandkid and saying, give me $20,000, right? AI can really make it sound like it's your grandchild calling, and like to a T, in a scary way now. So I think it's really important that everybody should have, whether it's with your family, your loved ones, all of the above, your friends, everybody should have like a code word or something. It's just how, like, in elementary school, when they would tell you to go home and have a fire plan in case there was a fire in your house, like, to get together and talk about that. Same thing. I think it's just as important. So next time, whether you're having like a little Memorial Day get together, Mother's Day brunch, insert upcoming event here when you're with your fam, I think it's important just to like bring up, be like, what's our first family pet's name? Or like, what's the name of the street we grew up on? Or like, what's a funny name we used to call a cousin? Like something so specific that, God forbid, anything ever happens where you get a phone call or a video text message sent to you, and it's like AI. then you can send it back and try to get some confirming words to make sure it's really that person. Any thoughts on that? Does anybody agree or disagree?
I fully agree. I was just listening to this podcast. It was Bobby Lee and Theo Vaughn, and they were talking about a more just intense scale of that. They were just saying, like, as AI advances, like, what if, like, robots take over the world and they look exactly like humans? They're like, dude, how do I let you know that it's not me or like that it is me?
Yep.
But same kind of vibe, but totally agree. Have something in place so you can confirm that it's not that person or that person.
It's a great housekeeping item, and also reminds me, like, my age group, when I was in high school, we had a new class that was like mandated that everyone attend, and it was called 21st Century Literacy, and it was basically like learning how to be on the internet and like use the computer and like, it wasn't like this was in the early, mid 2000s, so it wasn't like that rudimental, but this makes me think of that because especially, we're in our late 20s ish age range. So our parents, they would be, and their parents, they're the generation that was sort of skipped in terms of, like literacy online, because it wasn't around when they were, coming up. So this is a great example of, we can teach the others in our world how to be better consumers and safer consumers on the internet. And this is like a safety precaution that can be taken. So I think it makes great sense. It's also a good reminder to talk about, I don't know about anyone else, but I love my parents. They get scammed by Instagram ads all the time. Stuff that looks real, like cheap swimsuits, or like, my dad once thought he was buying Hey Dudes shoes from like Hey Dudes themselves, buy one, get one free, which should have been the first red flag. They were not from Hey Dudes, and those shoes never showed up. Right. So it's a good reminder that, like, if as young people, we have the opportunity to be like a shepherd of good practices online, and don't assume that just because they use those spaces that they like know what's right and wrong. Because if we can get tripped up by like stuff like that, the AI and scams of that scale and nature, and with, the power of targeting on social, like, don't assume that it's not going to touch close to home in your own families. I think it's a great like housekeeping item. Just like you should ask them what they want to do, not to be morbid, when they die. Have these conversations. Look at this podcast taking a life planning turn.
And you know what? That's a beautiful segue into the next thing I had to say, because it's also another thing that you don't want to have to think about, but it's going to come across at some point, if not you, for other people in your life. And that is assigning a person in your life as an admin to memorialize your account if and when that comes to fruition. You're looking or listening to at the person who is my memorializer. If I'm a goner, Paige is taking care of my account. It is her. She is on there. I feel like my family would be too emotional, and I have too many sisters to handle it. So Paige, it's going to you. And I think it's important. It's in your settings. I couldn't tell you where it is right now, but it's in your settings. You can actually go in there and assign somebody else's account to be your memorializer person.
In Facebook, right?
In Facebook, and then it'll automatically connect for Instagram. Yeah. That being said, I used to be a huge Crime Junkies fan, and like true crime and stuff. And they would always say on there, like, have a, in case I go missing kit, like, here are my passwords. Here's a lock of my hair. Like, here's things that you need if I ever go missing that you could just hand over to the police, and this will help with my like finding me.
I was just telling my dad, I mean, when you really think about it, like, we have cultivated like second lives online, and that presents its own challenges when it comes to like life administration stuff. Like, I was just telling my dad, he uses his current work email to sign up for a lot of like he just got Hulu TV and he wanted to use his work email, and I was setting it up for him, and I stopped him and I was like, we should use your like not work email, because he's nearing retirement. So I was like, one day that account's going to shut down, and anything that's like linked to it,
that's a great point,
you won't have access to. And he was like, oh shoot, I didn't think about that. That's going to be a headache. So yeah, between Facebook profiles needing to get handed over to all kinds of things online. What you don't know is I'm going to post as you. I'm going to be like, I'm back from the dead, y'all.
Well, you have to pick someone you trust so that they don't do that. That's the whole point, because that would be really creepy.
That would be rude.
you lose your BFF, and then all of a sudden she's DMing you, hot pic, love this, slay. But
So
those are the
there.
only two that I had. Is there any other topics that you all can think of related that is a little known rule that everybody should be privy to when it comes to digital literacy?
Hmm. You know what? This is like a little. It's not necessarily connected what we're talking about, but it is also. I
Let's hear it.
wish that I knew when I first got my Instagram to not go willy-nilly and follow a shit ton of Instagram accounts that I really like I don't really care about. Like, why do I follow so many accounts that do not mean anything to me? That is truly, it's just like, I don't know. This is your
I
sign
agree.
to comb through who you follow on Instagram and whatever app, and just like unfollow if they are not useful or benefiting you
I
and your
like
feed.
that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, especially if you've been around the internet for a couple of circles around the sun, it's never a bad idea to do a digital clean out of like who
Yeah.
you're following, what's on your profiles. Okay, here's one. If I just not that long ago, somebody told me, it might have been one of you guys. Somebody was like, your phone number is on your Facebook profile, like your whole cell phone number is in your about section.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't figure out why that would be. And then I remembered back in the day, there was a way to like link your phone number to your Facebook account for the purposes of, I mean, you could put it as like contact info, but beyond that, you could sync it up to your Facebook so that you could text posts to Facebook and it would like post the post and you would send it as a text message. Like to like it was like 8989 or something, like a short number.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Twitter did it too. And actually that, because someone said that to me, like your phone number's on your profile, it reminded me of that feature. And I went back through and deleted, I didn't have my old Twitter anymore, but I did, my Facebook's been the same. I went back and saw that like my posts for that period of time, they would be like the caption that I texted in the text, but my text had a signature at that same time. And I think it was like a default where it would, the text back number, it would be like from 717 and then like put my phone number. And it was just
On
like
the
on
post?
every text. So that it was also on the post. So I have like posts out there
Yeah.
that have nothing to do with anything. They're like pictures from school or whatever. And then it's like my phone number at the bottom in the caption.
What?
So look, if you're of a certain age and you've been on those platforms long enough, you might have not remembered, but those things happened and existed. So all that to say, cleaning out like your following and followers and friends list is always, why not, especially if you're interested in like keeping your space relevant, but also like double check to make sure you like, before we learned the rules of like internet safety, we were doing crazy fugazi stuff, like putting our phone number on the internet. So like go back and double check, make sure you weren't, because you didn't know better. You did not, but you know now. So, and I was thinking about it. I always wonder why I get what seems to be an outsized number of scam phone calls every day. And thank God for the iPhone update that says scam
now
likely.
why?
Oh my god.
But now I know why, because my phone number has been circulating the web for, I don't know,
That's
10
so
years.
funny.
That's awesome.
Only you can prevent forest fires. So go
Only
in
you
there
can stop spam
and
texts.
clean up your info that's out there. Wow,
Yep.
that's a good one. That's a good one to end on. That was really good. So, listeners, if you've got another thing to add, let's hear it. It's like the burn book. We'll continue to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from us. And if you're like, wow, this is a short episode. Yeah, it is. Okay. We're an agency. We're really busy. We got a lot going on right now.
Busy.
Here's
Here's a fun little thing.
Wonderful time, but wow. Yeah, we're busy.
But wow. What would if we had to have a code word to prevent AI bots from tricking us as a team, what would be our little like question or our phrase internally? I have one. What's the name of our favorite on-site dog?
Oh, I was going to say, what's the name of the ghost that we encountered in our...
Oh, that's another good one.
Mary and Tilly.
Yep.
Mary and Tilly, baby.
And now we have to pick another one because y'all are going to know it, so
And
we
now you
can't
know.
use
Fuck.
these.
Damn it. All right.
Hmm.
Cut that.
Well, now if they do it, if the AI scam us and it's those two, we'll know
and
that
they
they're
say that, then we know it's
fraud.
AI. Ooh,
Yep.
ooh. Look at us strategists. Can't play us. This is only confirming that we need to go on the circle. Just saying that.
Yeah, agreed. I highly, highly believe that the three of us as one unit
Could you
would
imagine
play
Kylie social agency. They've never had a whole agency. That would be such a good
True.
angle.
the circle. Are you listening? Watching would be like
Circle.
the first ones out.
Message? I know. I know. Would we catfish or would go in as one of us?
I feel like we should go in as one of us.
I agree.
I think
and I
we'd
think
go in as
it's Michaela.
MK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
Okay. All right. If not, we're gonna have our own profile, and that's gonna be the next episode. We're just gonna make an episode.
We should
of the
just
circle.
play the circle on the podcast.
Can we? That'd be so fun. How do we figure out how to do that?
I don't know, but the last thing I'll say, which I just think is funny, when I was a kid, one of the most popular birthday party formats was Fear Factor, and you would like play Fear Factor.
Yeah, I remember
at the
I
birthday
was at
party.
one of those. Mhm.
Yeah.
They were
And
so fun.
Survivor, I was at one of those too.
Yep. So I'm just thinking now, like, if only I wish there was a kit for playing the circle at a birthday
Hold
party,
on.
because then we could use that.
If we
Yeah.
could really think this through, I think that it could be a fun little company retreat, especially when Steph comes back. If we could figure out how to mod the circle game.
Yeah. Pretty
Did I
sick.
freeze?
Nope.
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I was just
everyone.
saying, I think we should figure out how to do it and play it.
Yeah, I love it. Well,
So-
look, we got
Well,
work
that's
to get
that.
back to, but we just wanted to drop in. Let us know what your secret code would not be, because we don't want you to. We don't want to steal it, but curious on your takes. I know we glazed over the TikTok ban. If you actually think it would be useful for us to talk through that in detail, we can do it. So you just
We
let us know
can.
your appetite. But we also know that as social media managers, it's just all you're probably hearing about at the moment. So we didn't want to be another voice in the sea of voices that's doing that. But we are here to
Yeah.
serve you. So you all listeners, you tell us, and we'll make it happen. It's
true.
been a
Love that.
fantastic ep for us. Hope you're having a great Wednesday wherever you are and wherever you're listening. Thanks as always for keeping up with the what's up of social with us.